Yeah.
Did you do the countdown?
Yeah, I did do
I
the
didn't
countdown.
see.
Well, welcome to the Homespun Yak, folks. I yeah, I started everything. Hold
Yeah.
on one second, actually. Okay,
False
okay.
start.
False start, yeah. Welcome to the Homespun Yak, folks. Welcome back. I've actually I've been anticipating this episode uh, for good reason. Now that,
Yeah.
I was going to do the math on how many subscribers we gained and like come out with like the number. I don't know exactly how many it was, but like I was going to just give the percentage value. It
Oh
would like
yeah.
the 45% increase in subscribership or something like that,
Well,
Uh,
it's over 100% increase.
was it?
It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, that's how popular we are, folks.
One episode can just change your life.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we didn't really get a chance to actually have like a reaction to how things went down and whatnot in our last episode. Would you like to kind of catch everybody up on what
Yeah.
happened last episode?
Well, if you missed it, we interviewed Mr. David Weiss, who is better known to some as Flat Earth Dave. He's one of the leaders, I guess, or one of the leading spokesmen of the Flat Earth movement. And he actually reached out to us um, to have a conversation. And we said, yeah, why not? And talk to him just to gain a better understanding of what really flat Earth is or what they believe specifically, aside from just the Earth is flat and that's it. And just a fun. Obviously, we're still globers, but
Well,
it.
only speak for yourself now,
Okay.
Kyle.
I had a feeling you might be switching over, but yeah, we interviewed him and about an hour long episode and uh, got quite a response comparatively to what we normally get on our episodes, especially on YouTube. Got about so far almost at about 2,000 views
That's pretty stunning.
and almost 100 comments and I mean, there's like 2 dislikes and like 60 plus likes, which I thought we were just going to get eviscerated in the comments and it was just going to be terrible, but it looks like all of his supporters and just random people came out and really enjoyed the conversation, and there's a lot of arguments going on within the comments but not about us. So that was kind of interesting to see, but yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, he definitely does a lot of these because he was very well prepared as far as having maps and slides and his whole presentation like nailed down. Because if we had a question, I mean, he immediately pulled up a slide that or a video that corresponded to whatever question or reservation we had about flat Earth. And I mean, he's a nice guy, super passionate and enthusiastic about flat Earth, and I mean that's essentially, it seems like, his life now. And um, yeah, I actually had a few people reach out directly to me saying how much they enjoyed listening to it, even though they're not flat earthers. It's just it was pretty fun. It was something different, and maybe we could do something like that again. But some people were like, "Yeah, you should have somebody who like kind of disproves it." And I just immediately thought of your dad.
Mm. Yeah, he sent me a variety of text messages, not disproving anything, but just talking about the episode because he listened to it as well. And he mentioned the comments as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'd he'd love to be on the podcast and just discuss some of the different principles, because he'd be able to actually explain. I think that was for me, that was one of the big drawbacks of the episode, because I like he Flat Earth Dave would talk about, all these different concepts and whatnot, and he's right. Like I don't have much of a rebuttal in terms of like trying to go tit for tat and whatnot, because I just haven't sat down and thought about all these different concepts. But I mean, there were certain ones that I felt were so stretched out, like, taking pictures of the Earth, right, from space. They're just like faked or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that, that's just, that's not something that you can debate. It's either you believe it or you don't believe
Right.
it. But
Yeah.
then there were other things like looking at a map and then the distance between like one point and another point. It's like, well, the Earth can only be 5 times this distance, or whatever it might be. And it's like, so the Earth is like much smaller than we think, and all this different stuff. And like, so there's kind of this like scale. Or when he was talking about magnetism, which is something I know a tiny bit about, but like not a whole lot about. So, it'd be great to have someone like my dad, who has his PhD in physics and his master's in mechanical engineering and his undergrad in mechanical engineering, or engineering, I think, in general. That'd be great, just to get the other perspective on, a more controlled like understanding of like, okay, well, we heard this point of view now, we can push back with somebody who actually has studied, maybe not like the Earth specifically, but understands the physics principles behind, how gravity works, and be able to explain like magnetism and stuff like that. Like, it's stuff that I kind of surface level understand, and hopefully I'll be able to like deepen that, but it's not my area of expertise. If the conversation had gotten into COVID, which I was not going to jump in when he talked about COVID, but if it had been about COVID, I would have risen and shined, because I have actually read the genetic sequence of COVID. So that would have been interesting. That would have been fun. But because we'd agreed that we would stick to this topic of flat Earth, I was completely out of my element, so I couldn't rebuff anything. Plus, I didn't know if we were supposed to, or if I was if we were supposed to say anything.
His whole thing was like, it's not. I don't want it to be a debate sort of thing, and even if it was, I mean, how much headway would we really get with a guy like that? I mean, it wouldn't. I mean, it's definitely, I want to offer the alternative, the other side, the round Earth perspective. But would it have just made him more agitated or more dismissive or whatever? Probably. I mean, you're not going to convince a guy like that to change his mind on that, especially COVID, for the little comments he made here and there about, if you wear a mask, we're going to turn you away, and stuff like that. I mean, I would have loved to have gone down a deeper hole of just COVID, masks. I mean, whatever, Trump. I mean, I'm sure he's just off the deep end on a lot of things. But yeah, kind of just felt like we had to stay on the flat Earth thing. But maybe he'll want to talk about COVID, and then we could do an actual debate.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. He, like you said, he had a whole presentation, so obviously he's really well prepared, and he's done this stuff, definitely many times before. So, and like you said, he's really passionate about it. So, a lot of the things that he discusses are things that he firmly believes in. So, could you change his mind? Maybe, I don't know. He was a really nice guy, so like maybe on like a few isolated points, but like I think the overall idea of like flat Earth, I think he's pretty much sold on. I was a bit remiss when I did ask the question, but he didn't end up answering it. Not because he was like dodging it or anything, but because I think he got on a roll talking about something related. But I really wanted to know about the planets, the other planets, right? Like you mentioned. He mentioned the moon, which isn't a planet, but it's a celestial body. He mentioned the moon and he mentioned the sun, but he didn't talk about the planets a whole lot. I think he just, I
Mentioned
think
they might be the size of a beach ball.
beach
Is what he
balls,
said.
right? Yeah, yeah. But that was it. Like, just, I mean, what are they doing up there? Like what's going on? That, I mean,
I
that kind
just
of
think he
stuff.
doesn't. He doesn't even worry about those. I feel like those just.
Well, you
He's
have
like, I
to.
mean,
You have to account for stuff. You can't just like see it and just be like, you know what? Just don't look up there.
that's the feeling I got from him. Is that he's just like, we're in our little, bubble here. We just have the sun and the moon. Like everything outside of that, who cares? Like
Mm,
that's kind of my feeling,
yeah,
or that I don't care enough to think about beyond the flat Earth.
yeah. And then there's the. I did ask this, but the when he showed the map, right, of what the flat Earth looks like, right? There's the Earth, whatever the continents, and then there's the ice like
Wall,
a wall, yeah,
perimeter.
a perimeter. Thank you. And then beyond that,
Beyond that,
there was like
there's a
more,
projection,
yeah. There's like more stuff, like other water and
different
other,
Earths,
yeah,
different
other
worlds.
continents and stuff. I'm thinking like, who came up with that? And like, yeah, it's speculation, but it was very detailed speculation. Like we have
Yeah.
water, and then we have land, and then
Have a
we have
continent
another.
here
Yeah,
and a couple islands here,
yeah, like
and then
okay.
another outer wall.
That's the part that confused me the most. The other outer wall, like
Like this
what?
is what we speculate it could be.
But nobody has seen any of this stuff. But okay,
No,
all right. But
but
also keep
NASA's
in mind
there
that if a person took a picture, we shouldn't believe it. I mean,
unless
that's
it's a
essentially what
flat
we're
earther.
saying, right? Like if you take a picture, don't believe it.
Yeah, because every picture that's been taken in space it's claymation
Yeah,
or
that
it's
was another thing.
photoshopped
Right? Yeah.
digitally. Uh, I don't know. He's just he's just so like caught up in flat Earth that anything like you can create an excuse to it to justify your beliefs, and that can go with anything. But yeah, I just don't understand what my question was like. If the Earth is flat and there's stuff beyond this ice perimeter, what the hell is like? What's the point of like trying to suppress that? I mean, it would be mind blowing, earth shattering news, obviously, because nobody has believed that for so long. But at the same time, it's like, what is that? Is that is that gonna like enable people to do different things that they've already been doing? I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna just like collapse human society when they discovered it was flat, and they're like, we cannot tell the people that it's flat or that
This
there's
is the one
land
thing.
beyond ice. We can't tell them. Like,
Yeah.
what? Why not?
Yeah. That's a really great question. What is the motive behind it all?
Yeah,
And
and he was just like, they just want to control you, like COVID. They just want to control you.
yeah, there's
Okay.
there's very little that the government has ever really been able to like keep under wraps for.
Yeah.
I mean, just indefinitely. Like, I mean, because people die, right? So therefore, you need new people to come in and like hold the secret. So I mean, there
Yeah.
has to be exchange of information, of ideas, of that idea. You imagine, like, you don't think somebody would want to profit off that idea of like, hey, so I have, I have good evidence, government documents saying that there's a flat Earth, blah blah blah. All that stuff. It's just you've never
Would
heard
have
of
come
that.
out by
Yeah,
now.
you've never heard of that in like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I imagine the forefathers of the United States weren't like, oh yeah, by the way, we need another bill on the side that
Yeah.
says something along the lines of like, "Don't tell anyone about the rest of the Earth." You know, like when did the idea first get brought up? I didn't even ask that. I should have asked
Yeah.
kind of where it really originated. This
Well, that's
idea.
kind of like, I don't know, when he was like, yeah, every other civilization ever has believed in a flat Earth.
But none of
But
them do.
but
That's
just
the thing. Like
yeah, but
today, no one
he just
does.
showed a picture and didn't talk
Yeah,
about it.
right. Yeah, it was just like a bunch, and then it was like the one isolated was United States or something like that. It's like, okay, well, I mean, okay, let's go outside of the United States then. Let's go to some. I mean, is every government in on it? Like you're telling me the Chinese government is in cahoots with the United States government to
Yeah,
hide
and
the fact,
Russia.
and no one's ever leaked this information?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's working together on the flat Earth
Yeah,
somehow.
with no
Like,
motive.
no, we're not profiting from this at all. It's not hurting or helping anything,
Yeah.
but we must keep it secret. Keep it safe. Keep it secret.
Lord of the Rings reference. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So that was my whole thing is like, I mean, if the earth was flat, then, you know, I don't see the harm in that of just like people knowing it, but I feel like, there's been enough scientific evidence and people who've been in space and when you actually launch a rocket or something like that, you have to consider the curvature of the earth when you're formulating your flight path for a missile, and it's like that's when it goes back to like China and Russia and North Korea and like these people are firing missiles left and right and testing new rockets out, and they have to deal with that and the fact that it's like if it's a flat earth, it wouldn't be as difficult, I would imagine, to do certain things like that. I don't know.
yeah, I
But
imagine not. I don't know. Yeah, again, I mean that's again
more a
beyond what I
question for
actually
your dad.
understand. Yeah, yeah, but I imagine that's probably true that you have to account for that kind of stuff. I mean, you're sending something, miles up and then it has to come back down and land on a particular. I mean, think of like what's going on with SpaceX. They have to have insane precision when it comes to the
Yeah.
stuff they're working on. Oh, but I think he would probably respond that they're all in on it too, though. Because
Yeah.
remember, I
Well,
brought
he's
up
a
Elon
shill.
Musk.
He's a government shill.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he talks very vocally against the government, but other than that,
That's a front.
that's a front.
That's just
Yeah,
a front. They
yeah,
want him to appear as if he is anti big government, but he's actually, an employee.
yeah. You could be his
He's a
right hand
puppet.
man. That'd be great.
Yeah. He might be. Yeah.
Maybe. So
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of my thoughts on the whole flat Earth date. I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was really interesting to get his perspective. I learned a ton. I imagine you did as well. Because I didn't know anything. I just flat Earth. That's it.
Hmm.
And he came in with tons of like resources and information and stuff, and it was cool.
Yeah. It's a really good visual podcast. I mean, I
Oh
would
yeah.
recommend people watch the video on YouTube because, you hear him talking about all these things, but simultaneously there's video and stuff going on right behind him on a big green screen that would help you to better understand the flat Earth theories.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, if other people want to come on the podcast and discuss their
Yeah, yeah.
ideas,
We're
please
now
feel
a
free.
conspiracy podcast. So that's what people are expecting now from us, the
That's
new
what it.
subscribers.
That's what it feels. Yeah, half of our subscriber base is
Yeah.
now people
They're like,
that.
yes, a new flat Earth podcast that has not been banned from YouTube yet.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh, no. Alex Jones is next.
oh, next guest. That'll
Yeah.
definitely get us banned.
Yeah, he was on a podcast with Andrew Schultz recently,
Mm.
comedian, and it was hilarious. I actually watched most of it on YouTube once it came out, but it has since been taken down.
Really?
Yeah.
By YouTube. Do you know why?
They talked about it a little bit after because they were like, "Oh my God, it's dead!" Like you freak out and you can't find it. And he said he talked to someone at YouTube and he said that he was spreading misinformation about the vaccine
Mm.
and they had to take it down.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. It's weird to have a corporation be in charge of what's considered, and this is coming from a scientist,
Yeah.
what's deemed as misinformation. I mean, I consider it misinformation, but um, yeah, it's just kind of weird waters. Actually, on that very topic, something that happened recently with China, I don't know if you saw this, but like several, what was it? What was the deal? Oh, right. The Uyghurs. Uh, a bunch of corporations, H&M, Nike, maybe Nike, I can't remember exactly what it was, and like a few other pretty big, Zara, I think was another one. These different corporations decided to take a stand against China, and essentially they just said mean things. They essentially were like, we denounce, what's going on in that particular province where the Uyghurs are being held, and they also decide we're not going to source any of our cotton from the.
I laughed because I just thought of I thought I knew the name of the province and I almost said it and it would have sounded so bad. And then I was like, let's move on.
I know. I had some like random kind of syllables in my head, and I was like, dude, just shut up. Just don't even say anything, because
Yeah, I know
I'm
it
not.
starts with an X.
Yeah,
There's a couple X's in there.
just throw it
I
all.
don't even want to try to pronounce it.
Yeah. So anyway, these corporations were like, we're no longer going to source cotton. It's just one more thing.
I'm just yeah.
During the whole like Flat Earth Dave podcast, it was so funny, just like us at times trying to like
Not
maintain
laugh.
composure because we were trying to be respectful. We really were. But there were points where I looked over at Kyle and he had the expression he just had, trying to hold it together. And same here. Yeah. So yeah, they're not going to source any of their cotton from this particular region anymore. So then China decided, well, you know what? We're just going to start shutting down your stores in China. So they just started
Wow.
going around, just closed them, and then they also took their apps and like anything that names that company, that gets like it's stricken off their internet now. So they like you
Oh
can't
my
like if you
God.
look up H&M while you're in China, their stores no longer show up on in any of in China, right?
Mhm.
So like they're like doing all these retaliations, and suddenly these corporations are just like some of them are like backpedaling and like
Of course.
like it's not so bad, like
We really, you
you,
misinterpreted what we said,
yeah,
and that's our fault.
yeah, that's our fault.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stop Asian hate.
yeah, and China is wonderful and all this stuff. Yeah, and this goes back to my point that I've made several times with the NBA, and then we talked about this relatively recently about something else as well. That corporations need to start looking at China as just a bonus.
Yeah.
Don't think of them as part of your income. And I know it might be a massive part of your income, but you can't look at it as part of your income anymore, because once you start making quote unquote making a stand, because let's be real, like these corporations, it's like they didn't think about it. They're like, okay, so the China can bully the NBA, but we're going to be safe. China's just going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, you can trash us, no problem. Like
Yeah,
that's
exactly. What do you
that,
think?
yeah, they've been completely open to that, right? So it's
Yeah,
just like you have to just look at like you have to look at your income and just subtract the China market so that
yeah,
if you do have to make a stand, you're basing everything off of an independent scale, an independent income, so that if you lose China, you're like, well, that sucks, but so be it.
yep.
That's that. I mean, that's just my take on it. I just think it's such a
Oh,
weird thing.
100%. Yeah. It becomes a point where an outside entity is now controlling how you conduct yourself and conduct business and kind of hijacking your morality in a way to really expose how much you really care about money over like a certain cause or a certain stand that is justice over money. But yeah, people are just way too deep into China and too reliant on that market, um, to really be able to do those things without losing a big chunk of your finances, or I don't know, you're scared to lose money basically.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
It just all comes down to money.
Yeah, it does. And eventually, I mean, one day, probably really soon, China's going to have a bigger economy than the United States. So, like, what do you do in that situation? Let's say China just keeps,
Yeah.
growing and creates a bigger and bigger delta between the United States and Europe and all of them combined. And then what do you do as a corporation? Are you just going to, or really as anyone, right? Are you just going to like start just doing everything based off of how China does it? Like it's a weird thing. It's like something that we have to project into the future. We have to really start addressing this now, because otherwise it's not going to
But
go well.
people will want to be a part of that wave as well in China from
Hmm.
other international
Totally.
corporations, because it just looks way too lucrative to not get in a market that's going to be insanely huge. I mean, it already is, but it's going to continue to grow at you know, an incredible rate. So a lot of people look at that and just, that's money that's income that comes in very quickly rather than, just relying solely on the US market or wherever you're based at. Um, So yeah, it just depends. I mean, do you value money over morality, or do you, what's your company based on at the end of the day? And I'd rather people just be straight up honest with us and not just be like, "Oh, we're like taking a stand and we're doing this because we're so much better than this company, or we really strongly believe in these virtues and we can't stand by and let these people do that." And then like they're like, really, you can't, because you we can kick you out, and this is what it looks like on paper when we do that after 1 week. Like,
Yeah.
so let me ask you again, you really want to send that statement out?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, not really. I
You
would rather than be like,
misunderstood.
understand the financial implications, like you said, and like make that just, you know, this could happen, but we're never going to support this if this happens. Or you could be like, I don't give a shit what they're doing. Like, we're making a ton of money. Like, who gives a shit? Like, that's a terrible, obviously, way to behave, but at least you're being honest in that statement.
Yeah. Yeah. At least you're being honest. That's true. Uh, I'm really curious how these economic impacts, and China's getting more and more bold. And I feel like the United States just isn't in a position, and really hasn't been for a couple decades now, or at least a decade, to
Couple of months.
Couple months. Oh, sleepy Joe. But yeah, I mean, the United States just isn't in a position to like bully China or anything like that, or like they have been. Like the United States has just gone into countries and been like, no, you can't do this,
Yeah.
just do whatever they want. And you obviously can't do that with China or Russia, but specifically China. And I mean, China's like trying to strong arm Europe. They're trying to strong arm uh, the United States. It's a really weird thing. Like we are in the infancy of something really terrible happening. And just think about what China does to their own people. Now
Hmm.
imagine that like affect like that mentality, not specifically what they're doing exactly to their people, but like that mentality of uh, just like pretending like there's nothing good. It just doesn't feel. I'm not super educated on the Chinese government or anything. It just doesn't feel like there's there's a whole lot there. In terms of
Yeah,
like.
it feels like they could just like become so overwhelming in so many different facets of society, whether it be technology or
Mhm.
whatever it is, as far as like we may not have the greatest technology, but we have access to certain technologies that will allow us to steal that information and then make our own and mass produce it at a level higher than what you can for much cheaper and just kind of infiltrate and steal and just water down so many things that it feels like they're just playing like this long game that's just inevitable.
Yeah, yeah, they are playing this long game, and right now they're being semi-polite. It feels like because they don't have enough of a lead, or they're not in the lead yet. But one day, and it's going to be relatively soon, they're going to be in the lead, and they're going to have a pretty massive lead, and then they're eventually just going to be able to be like, you know what, fuck everyone. We're just going to do whatever we want, and suddenly their
Yeah.
true colors are going to shine, and they're going to just start trying to
Yeah.
bully everyone else. And I just, yeah, it doesn't really feel like people are taking that all too seriously. But I do think that in our lifetimes, we're going to experience something dramatic. Something's going to
Yeah.
happen. If that's economic or
Cuz
if
like
that's like taking over, like militarily, I don't know.
yeah, cuz there've been so many sanctions on China for so many years now by so many different countries for whatever it is, human rights violations, like trade violations, what you name it, pollution. They've been hit with everything you can be hit with. And at a certain point, they're like, well, this really doesn't impact us as negatively as these people think it does. And we don't really need them anymore anyway for certain things. So we're going to be way more self reliant. And I don't know. I just feel like at the end of the day, sanctions are not going to scare the Chinese government. I don't know if they even do anymore. I don't think they do anymore, even. It's just like they're just used to it. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever, sanction me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just thinking about it because, like, I don't know. The U.S. has been number one for, not forever, but for a while now in a lot of different categories. And you just get the feeling now that it's like, I don't know, just the mentality in the government and the culture and society. People just don't want to be. I don't know. I feel like people have given up on the pride of being like, not like we're better than you, we're number one, but just like the pride of wanting to be the best in things that actually matter, like technology and foreign aid and trade and the economy, whatever it is, we want to be at the top. That's how we got to the top, is by working hard and, you know, I don't know, a lot of different things. And I just feel like you said, in correlation with this Chinese rise and dominance and in a lot of different facets, corresponding with that could lead to something happening in our lifetime for sure. And, I started thinking about that, like, I guess it was last night, the US, like, my friend texted me, like, the US is playing Honduras right now. If we win, we qualify for the Olympics in soccer. And like, we lost to Honduras. And it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like we just don't take any pride in trying to be number one. And I mean, that sounds like a dick thing to say, but I don't know. I guess I just miss the 80s.
That's what this culminates to.
Yeah, that's what it.
I don't
That's
know.
what it.
I just
I
miss the
miss
80s.
Rocky. He was doing his thing when Hulk Hogan was doing his thing. I miss that. But
What was his
I don't know.
intro? Like, I want to be an
I am
American.
the real
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Fight for the rights of every man.
Yeah,
And he'd come
exactly.
in and just kick ass. It was
And then you
great.
just like crush a beer against your head, drink
Oh
what's
yeah, you
left,
got
and
nuts.
just
Yeah.
scream. "Ah!"
Yep, those are the good times. Didn't really have to think.
It's because you crushed too many beer cans against your own head.
Exactly. Can't do that now. But anyway, that was just a small little example of like, man, we just don't like, you just don't take any pride of like, and this now is going into a sports conversation.
Let's do it.
But just like take some pride in the shirt. Like, obviously we're not, and this is the under 23 team for the US, because I think that's like the age cutoff for the Olympics in soccer. You can't be, that's why nobody really gives a shit about like winning gold in soccer for men.
That's
Because it's
interesting.
like, I mean, it's a big deal, but it's like, like none of the big names play in the Olympics. Like, I don't think Messi's ever played in the Olympics, or Ronaldo, or anybody, because of that age thing, and because you don't make any money playing in the Olympics. It's maybe the biggest, but I think
Plus
the
you have the
World
World
Cup.
Cup that's kind of like
Oh,
basically
that's
overshadows it
well, the
completely.
Euro Cup is this year as well,
Is it?
and yeah, and that's even bigger than the Olympics by a magnitude of 10 billion. But that's just my opinion. So I don't care that much about the Olympics. I mean, it might be our only shot to actually win something in soccer, but clearly not. And I'd much rather see us win a World Cup one day. Obviously, that means way, way more.
And then
But it's
Kyle
just,
woke up.
yeah, yes. And um, I don't know. And, I don't expect the U.S. to ever win that. But a part of me kind of does, just because I'm just used to us winning and everything, no matter what it is. Like, we're going to find a way and we're going to win. And like, we're going to like, yeah, we're just going to outwork people and we're going to do it. But with soccer, you got to think about, it's not our biggest sport. It's everybody else's biggest sport. So it's not something that's ingrained in the culture. It's not something that we have a good infrastructure already set up, regarding academies and grooming young players, kids who like are dying to play as much as they're dying to play football or basketball. Um, so there's a lot to contend with, and like, should we be doing better? Yeah, but we should also be placing the emphasis on a lot more, doing a lot of things differently, to inspire that passion, the growth, the trajectory in the right direction, because we just truly don't know what we're doing in comparison to other countries when it comes to soccer.
Yeah.
So, I get the argument when people are like, we should be doing way better than what we're doing based on how many people, the technology, the higher standard of living, whatever. But also, I have sympathy because it's not as important as other sports are. It's just, I think the cultural significance of a sport plays a massive role. I mean, Brazil's won it 5 times. They're way poorer country than we are. So it has nothing to do with finances or riches when it comes to that. I mean, it plays a part now, but it's just about the passion that's ingrained in the culture. And that's something that we just never have had. And I just don't know that we can create that at this stage in the game. So,
But you think that, I imagine you think that soccer's at least increasing in popularity, right?
oh yeah, I think so. But again, it's just like if you look at England, any European country, if you're good enough, you're spotted at a young age. You're immediately in an academy where you're in school, but you're also playing soccer
Yeah.
and learning at a very young age, going through the ranks of this club or whatever it is. We don't have anything. I mean, we have like, you know, youth leagues and stuff, and obviously high school sports and like
Right.
travel leagues as a kid. But I just feel like the coaching, the tactics, the training methods, the infrastructure. There's so many different things that are just so far behind. And I just don't know if people are going to invest enough time and money and effort into emulating that of like the Netherlands or France or England or
Mm.
Brazil. I mean, any South American country can just take us, whoop our ass any day in soccer. But, any other sport, it's like we're going to dominate you. But, hopefully one day, I mean, I definitely know it's been growing in popularity and there's been a surge in, young kids wanting to play. It's just the knowledge, I don't think is quite there. And hopefully we will get to a point because we do have some good international, or we do have some good players playing in big international leagues outside of the country who are doing well, but it's got to be on a bigger scale.
Yeah. Speaking on soccer, I'm actually curious on your opinion of this. Do you think that the women's national team should be paid as much as the men's national team? Because apparently they're currently in the lawsuit process for getting equal pay. I believe it's equal pay, I imagine, as the men's team. What do you think about that? Oh God, he's looking at me
laughing.
He's looking at me with misogyny.
He's committing violence with his eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know because you just have to look at a lot of different.
I can give you my opinion because I've thought about this a little bit.
I mean, I don't know what they're currently making. They've won, the past whatever World Cups and Olympic gold medals, and obviously you should be very handsomely financially rewarded for that, progressing in tournaments and doing well. But I just think it comes down to, if I could get the numbers on how many eyes are tuned in to these games. Like say the U.S. women play Czech Republic in the first stage of the World Cup for the women. And then the U.S. men play like Slovakia in the first round. Um, what is the viewership like in comparison to that? Because I think that's a huge part of it, as far as what your sponsors are willing to pay based on how many people are going to be viewing these events. Um, so that's one side of it, and then another side of it is, the degree of the talent discrepancy there. Because I think there is a big gap in in skill level between a man on the U.S. national team and a woman on the U.S. national team. There was the story. This actually happened. That I think the Dallas, the MLS's like under 16 boys team beat the actual women's national team
Oh, yeah.
by quite a good amount.
I read a little bit
And
about that, yeah.
and I don't know if that necessarily means that you don't get paid as much, because it's just two different arenas, but I don't know. It goes back to like, the NBA versus the WNBA thing.
Mm.
Nobody wants to watch the WNBA. Like, no, I've never met someone who's been like, dude, I cannot wait for this Lynx game tonight. Like, who do you got? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Can you list the other teams? Because I don't know their names.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
not that people don't watch it or want to watch it. I mean, it's still around, so obviously people are watching it.
sure.
But to the level of the men's side, it is just a fact that it is much lower.
I
People
reject your
want.
fact, and I
Oh,
call you a
okay.
misogynist.
Well, let's have your take.
Mine's much simpler. I get where you're coming from, and well, I'll get back to that. Um, so I think because it's a U.S. national team and it's paid for by, it's associated to the nation, that there should be equal pay regardless of viewership, between men and women for the national team. I don't feel that way, however, for like the more privatized company like the NBA, WNBA, because then it's up to the owner, or now they're trying to, I think, make a switch to the term governor instead of owner of the team, but the governor or owner of the team. um,
Governor.
yeah, because I think it's I don't quote me on that, but I think it's like some sort of relationship to owning people, so it's somehow triggering. So yeah, let's just blow past that. But
Please.
yeah, but for that, I mean, like for that owner, for that governor, they're getting a certain amount of money, like, and that's based off of their viewerships and their sponsors and like all that stuff, like the stuff that you just mentioned. So for that, I mean, like, why would anybody want to be an owner or governor of a WNBA team then? If I'm going to get fewer views, but I'm required to pay them the same amount. If I pay, let's say, the best player, I think the best players in the NBA right now are getting paid, I don't know, $30 million a year, $40, $50 million a year, something like that, like something absolutely astronomical. So imagine if you're an owner of a WNBA team, you're pulling in a tenth of the views, a fifth of the views, and you're not getting as many sponsorships or anything like that, but you still are on the hook to pay for that amount of money. Like, I'm sure many people would be like, oh, who cares? You're 100 millionaire, so what do you care? But like, that's still not fair, right? I mean, it kind of goes back to the whole idea of like capitalism. So yeah, I think that when it's more of a private business, No, it should be based off of what's coming in, and the salary cap and all that stuff that they've got negotiated with the players union. But yeah, when it comes to the national team, regardless of if they're as good as, I mean, clearly, I think that you said right, they won the World Cup, and they've won the World Cup like a few times, something like that.
At least like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Like I
So
think they're the most dominant. They're the most like decorated women's team,
right. Yeah.
like internationally.
So I don't even care about that. Like that's not even my point. My point just being that it's a national team and it's kind of sponsored by the nation, therefore it should be equal pay. But on a private level, it should be based off of the viewership and the amount of money and all that stuff. The salary cap, because you don't have a salary cap when it comes to the national team. I mean, you just get the best players. All right, let's play, let's do it. So that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get that. Um, I just need to think about it a little bit more. I mean, I'm not like saying like, oh yeah, they should be paid way less or anything, but I don't know. I still don't know really.
Yeah,
Still
it's
need to think
tricky.
about it.
It's
Yeah.
tricky, and I mean, I think when we first started this podcast, we'd always kind of open some of these segments of being like, "We understand that we're two cisgendered males," so it's just like, and we still get that. Like, we still get how like weird, or I don't know. I think people should be able to discuss whatever the
Oh
fuck they
yeah,
want to
totally.
discuss. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, we get that it's just two guys just kind of discussing what women should be paid.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
just
like,
an opinion. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's terrible just because it's even being mentioned.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I mean, it's fine to talk about it. I mean, and think about it out loud, you know? I mean, I'm open to anybody who wants to provide different arguments, maybe for or against, that we really didn't think about or cover because we're not we're not like set in stone about a lot of things, you know? It's just
no,
like that
yeah,
just something happens, yeah, let's talk about it. So, if you guys want to be scared to talk about things, and you do that, because we're not. We're gonna
we,
go see Rammstein later this year.
oh, oh yeah, because fuck COVID. Yeah, yeah,
It'll be over by then.
yeah, it'll just be over. Yeah, man, I am. We talked about this when we were supposed to see it last year.
Yeah,
That
it's
we were
like
super
deja
excited
vu.
about that. Yeah. And then that got canceled. I was so bummed out about that.
Oh
I mean, I
yeah,
was supposed to see
I,
Tool, Rammstein, uh, Beast in Black, Hatebreed, Fit for a King, Parkway Drive.
Demi
Like
Lovato.
I had Demi Lovato. Come on. Um, I had all these concerts lined up that I was so excited about, but the one that I was absolutely the most excited about was
Oh yeah,
Rammstein because I've wanted to see them for over 20 years, and
yeah. I mean,
then that
over
got
half our
canceled.
lives.
Yeah, that got canceled, and then I was just like, dude, this fucking sucks. Fuck
Yeah,
COVID. Like that was
seriously.
like they
Yeah,
came out with the death numbers, and I was just like, yeah, yeah, okay, but like
yeah.
Rammstein,
Whatever.
are you
We're
kidding
going.
me?
Yeah. Can it still happen?
Yeah,
Like,
no, no, I'm kidding, folks. I'm kidding.
because I
But
remember buying the tickets in line at a coffee shop and then like texting you guys about it. And it must have been, maybe a month later or a couple weeks later that it was like, are we maybe not going to go see this thing now?
yeah,
Like, yeah, it was really soul crushing in a lot of ways. Like, I thought about it, of course, like the week that we were supposed to go, and then like several times after, just like,
me too.
I was supposed to see them live. Like, and then we didn't get to go. Like, what is going, like I couldn't even really think about it for too long because it would just really bum me out.
Hmm.
And then he texted me that he's like, "Hey, tickets are open again." And then I looked on, and of course, they're not coming to the football team's arena.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't matter because we'll go to the Eagles
Yeah.
stadium. And Benny unfortunately cannot join us because he's expecting another child. Not an excuse. Okay. No, it's a pretty good excuse.
Yeah.
No, it is. Right around the time that the concert is, so that's unfortunate. He'll have another child, but he'll also miss out on Rammstein. So it's like, was it worth it having a kid is what I want to know.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. I'm super pumped. And we got tickets. We got seats like that were, I mean, sort of they're, I don't want to say identical because it's a different stadium, but they're in like the exact type of position that we were going to be for the first concert. So yeah, I'm super pumped. It's gonna be a dream come true to see all the fireworks, and it's probably gonna be the best. I imagine it'll probably be the best show that I've ever been to in my life.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, I think it could be. Definitely could be.
Yeah, it's gonna be a dream come true. So I'm definitely excited about that. Yeah, and it'll be the first time. Have you ever been to Philly? I've never been to Philly.
I don't think so. No, I've driven through. I've been around that area, just driving through the state. But no, I've never really been to the city. Never. So yeah, looking forward to just seeing Philly too.
Yeah,
And it'll at least be in August, so it won't be like freezing cold.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that'll be nice. It's just gonna be it's gonna be a good experience. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah.
One of the few things I get to look forward to this this year.
Yeah, we're gonna just go there, slip a few ecstasies to start.
That's when you know we're noobs. We're calling them ecstasies. Slip a few
pills.
ecstasies.
Heard this really gets you amped up.
Yeah.
Wow, the lights are brighter.
Oh God, yeah.
I just hope that it's full capacity.
I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be.
They wouldn't do it if it wasn't full capacity.
Yeah, it's gonna be so loud. It's gonna be so great.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be a true like fuck COVID like situation.
Oh, my God,
like 30,000, 40,000 people there.
Yeah.
Just
no mask.
yeah. Yeah, fuck it, right?
Take my shirt off.
I think, I mean, by then, I also just genuinely feel like by then, the vast majority of the population is going to be vaccinated. They're opening vaccinations to almost everyone in several states like California, New York, a bunch of places. So, and they're vaccinated. They vaccinated. I think I saw the number a couple days ago, which was like 47 million people in the United States have already been fully vaccinated. Wow. So that's a lot. That's that's like 1/6 or so of the population. So that's fantastic. And just wait a few more months and we'll definitely hit that like magic 70% mark. And although I will say, have you gotten your second shot? You got Moderna, right? Okay, so let me tell you about my experience with my Pfizer vaccine.
Your second shot?
Yeah, I had my second shot last week on Wednesday.
Oh
and
my God.
It was terrible. It was bad. I had so the next day I woke up, or middle of the night I woke up and I was just radiating heat. So I felt like, obviously I had a fever, and then I managed to fall back asleep, and then I woke up and I had a fever. I was radiating heat, but I was shivering. So clearly I had a fever. And then I was dizzy and I had aches and pains all over. I felt like I was 70 years old. Like I got out of bed so gingerly and I was just like, oh, I feel so bad. It was
Wow.
bad. Yeah. So that
How
lasted
long
for
did that last?
2 days. And then
Whoa.
on that Saturday, I woke up and I felt incredible. I just felt like amazing.
Huh.
So I'm the only one of the people that I know, and I know maybe like 12 or 14 people that have gotten fully vaccinated, and they've
You're the
had like
only one.
they've had a few like some of them have had like slightly mild reaction, like maybe a fever, but nothing else. Um, and most others like didn't like had soreness in their arm, and that was it. Yeah, so I had a really strong reaction though.
What would you say to someone if they said, I'm just getting the first shot? I don't want the second one.
As Kyle contemplates.
Not me. This is a guy I know.
This is a guy I know. His name is Lyle. No, his name's Jonathan. No. Uh, so I haven't actually looked at the literature on exactly how effective the first dose is, but from the articles that are just skimmed over, so don't hold me to this. It's initially like a 50% protection, then it goes up to like 60, and eventually it taps out around like 80% protection, something like that, for the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines.
Mhm.
So, is that enough of a protection to save your life? Yeah, absolutely. But is it, will you feel it if you get the virus? There's definitely a greater likelihood. So if you just want to get the first shot, that's probably okay. But of course, all the studies have been done on getting 2 shots. So therefore, you can't necessarily extrapolate that. Let's say 6 months from now, your immunity hasn't like just disappeared because you didn't get your booster shot. So that's something that's like up in the air. We don't really know what would happen in that situation.
Hmm.
So I would still recommend people get 2 shots just because of the unknown. But like if you're like deathly afraid, like I mean, yeah, that's at least you got 1 shot and you can just kind of hope for the best from there. They're actually currently running a study at UNC to figure out if getting the vaccine prevents you from spreading the vaccine. But they're not going to get that information for, I think, 5 months. That's how long this study's going to run. But if we
Hmm.
get results from that, then we'll be able to tell if the vaccination will actually also help prevent spreading the virus. And if that's the case, then, I mean, they're clearly like then people don't have to wear masks ever again for
Right.
COVID, which would be that would be so great.
Yeah, it would be. Hmm.
So it looks like you're fully vaccinated.
Yeah, and then I know the second one is they speculate that the chip goes in the second
Mm,
one. So
mm. They speculate, yeah.
Alex Jones, people like him speculate.
Right.
David Weiss,
Yeah.
they
Just a
speculate.
just a few a few a few reliable
Scholars.
sources, scholars. That was another thing when he mentioned that there was a researcher that had like tipped him off on this whole thing. I really wanted to know what kind of research this person does.
Like how he got started in it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I don't. I was like, "Is there a defining moment?" He's like, "Yes, there was,"
right.
but really didn't say much about it.
Yeah, he just briefly mentioned a researcher and had like opened his eyes to it all. And I was really curious what that person's area of expertise was, or if we're using the word loosely of researcher, like are we talking like in a
Yeah, oh,
lab,
yeah.
or are we talking like just on the internet?
Talking,
Like
yeah,
I
internet.
like to do research.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's my experience with the whole COVID vaccine. not to deter
It's a
anyone.
it's a tale of horror, folks. It's a
Yeah,
cautionary tale.
yeah, yeah. It sucks. A lot of people have been asking me about my side effects.
But you said you had energy on the third day. On the third day, you rose. And now we're coming up on Easter, so I wonder what
What
there's a
that
religious
means?
comparison here.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point. Um, yeah, third day I felt great, felt phenomenal. And granted, I slept like 12 hours on
It
the
made you
second
tired.
day. Oh, incredibly! Yeah, I was really tired. I could
Whoa.
barely think. I just ended up watching movies all day, which is incredibly atypical for me. But then I was thinking, like, I feel like shit, and I haven't been sick in 3 years, so fuck it. I'm just gonna watch movies. So I watched a literary piece known as The
Hmm.
Avengers.
Ah. Now that was written in the 18th century
Yes, it was
from Jane Austen.
with Iron
Jane
Man.
Austen's The Avengers.
Yeah.
I saw the Justice League movie,
Oh, which version? The Snyder
the
cut?
Brandneu version.
Oh, okay. So, what did you think?
Uh, it was it was entertaining. I had no idea. I mean, you could pretty quickly catch on. I think there was probably 3 or 4 movies before this. I mean, there's like they kind of I don't know that they copied the Avengers, but they kind of like they did a separate movie on each character, and
Right.
then they did like Justice League, and then Batman versus Superman or whatever it was, and now the Justice League Returns. I don't know what it's called, but it was 4 hours long, so it took me a few days to finish it. Um, but definitely entertaining. Um, not as good as the Avengers. Uh, yeah, just not super memorable, but very very much jam packed with action and special effects. Not enough Superman, in my opinion.
Hmm. I did you watch the original cut 2017, or did you just watch the Zack
I
Snyder?
just watched the Zack Snyder. I didn't watch any of the other ones.
Okay. You said that a little
Told-
aggressively.
They
Just-
told me I couldn't do it, and I did.
Oh man, a tale of redemption.
And betrayal.
Yeah, I watched the original one and it was not good. I did not enjoy it. It feels like it's a cheap version of the
Yes,
Avengers.
of
Like
the Avengers.
nothing
Yeah,
about it is
same
like
bad guy. He wants to. They look alike almost.
yeah,
The main bad guy. They just want to kill everybody and take over the universe, and
yeah.
they're going to do it through getting this little thing. And then, of course, it doesn't happen.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the way it's shot and the special effects even feel cheap by comparison to like the Avengers. It's really
Hmm.
weird. I
And
think
Ben
I
Affleck sucks as Batman.
oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he's fine, but it's just like Batman is the most useless. He's become the most useless character.
He
He's
is.
like, I'm rich. That's my
That's it.
power.
That's it. Yep.
But like, why are you in this big ass suit with like a bat head?
Yeah.
Just weird. Like we
Yeah.
know who you are.
Yeah. Exactly.
What
That
are you
and then
doing?
just like it's only like 4 or 5 Justice Leaguers, right? It's just Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Lightning Boy,
Batman,
and Batman, and
Superman,
and Superman, right? So it's
and
like
then there's this android guy now.
oh right, Cyborg.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I don't know, they're just all incredibly boring.
Oh my God, yeah. Very boring.
And it feels really out of place that Aquaman is there. He's just like, I don't know, he just,
Yeah,
you'd
he's
think
just on
Aquaman is
land,
in the
like,
water. He's just on land for like the
yeah, just
majority of it.
fighting people with a he's just got a trident, and Wonder Woman has a sword and a shield. It's like,
Yep.
I mean,
And the lasso of truth.
yeah, it's like, I mean, it's cool. Like you can still do damage with a sword, but I mean,
Sure.
we have sweet guns now. Like I feel like we could use you more with a gun,
Yeah.
or like you just, I don't know. It's
It
weird.
yeah, the whole thing is just it's
And then
kind of
Superman's
tedious.
just like, they bring him back from the dead. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that was in
And
the first one too. Well,
oh,
what I mean
okay.
by the first one is like they had a cut that was 2.5 hours long, and then they recut it from the original footage by a different director called the Snyder Cut. And people were saying the
Uh,
Snyder Cut was so much better than the original. I've only seen
hmm.
the original, so that's why I was curious if you'd seen the first one.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Superman just like when he comes back, he's just better than everybody instantly. Like no one can even, no matter who it is, touch this guy.
Yeah,
And it just makes me wonder, like, what are you doing as a guy who's that, but also you're like, I'm gonna put on glasses and be Clark Kent, and nobody knows who I am because
yeah,
of glasses.
yeah.
Like, "Oh, that guy looks familiar. Like, I think he might. Does he go to our church? Like, no, he's Superman. Pretty clear that he's Superman. And he's like covering as a right. It wouldn't work if I was Superman. Like, I don't know if I'd be staying on Earth. I don't know. I'd do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And now he's trying to marry Lois Lane, and I feel like he doesn't age. I don't know. He's an alien, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna be awkward
Awkward.
when she gets to be about 50 and he still looks like he's 38.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah. That's true. And also, although I think that the Avengers also suffers from the same issue. I think that's always been my greatest critique of all these superhero movies when they mash them all together, is because their power levels make zero sense, and nobody can ever convince me otherwise because it's just absolutely, it's so ridiculous the differences, and I will go to my grave saying that Thor should be able to do whatever the fuck he wants. He's a literal god. Like, are we like always going to ignore that? God, like, just what? There's nothing above that. It's just like that's it. So how is it that this guy has like struggles to fight against like mortals or like anything else?
I know.
That doesn't make any sense to me. He's in a tier of his own. Iron Man doesn't come close. Hulk doesn't come close. Like no one comes close. He's a god. He
What
literally
about
cannot
Black Hawk?
die. Yeah, Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Hawk, Hawkeye. It's all the same. Like he shoots a bow and arrow really well,
Yeah.
or Black Widow.
Black
Like
Widow is who I
yeah,
combine the two.
she like it looks so ridiculous when they do their
I
little
look
like.
so good in leather pants.
That's
It's
it.
like,
And then she just
wow.
like
Yeah.
when they're like charging at the enemy or whatever, she just has her two tiny little pistols out and is
And
just shooting
survives
them.
everything.
It survives everything, and no, like in no other scene
And
has
people are
guns
coming up
ever
to her
worked.
like, what should we do? Like, what do you think? Like,
Yeah,
get out of here.
the,
Scram.
yeah, exactly. Hawkeye and her, and probably a few others. Like they ultimately, they have weapons that just don't do anything, and they're not that powerful. They are the lowest tier of lowest tiers. They're just fancy. They're just very martial arts friendly humans. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, then you've got like the other tier, which is like
Captain
Iron
America.
Captain America, who's literally just a dude that's like maybe a little bit more
Supercharged.
than steroids. But for some reason, he can do things that are
He's
just
got a crazy shield.
Yeah, he's got a crazy shield, exactly. And people are always shooting at him on that shield.
Yeah.
Like, stuff like
The
that.
bullets go to it. Yeah.
Yeah, bullets essentially go to it. Like everything has to fall. Everything is perfect. It just feels like the director is specifically designing things, designing scenarios that that they can handle. Because if like Black Widow has to fight, I don't know, Thanos or whatever, like it's not even close. It's not even like he doesn't even have to
She's not
acknowledge her
involved.
existence, and he would win. you know, she has guns.
One of his henchmen would win
Exactly.
easily.
At no point have guns ever worked against any of these guys, and yet she is wielding two of them, and somehow she is still alive. I don't get that.
Yeah, she like outlives everybody.
Sort of. She ends up.
I don't know what
I mean,
happens.
did you watch Endgame?
Yeah,
Okay.
she dies.
Yeah. Well, she sacrifices herself. It's not like she dies in combat or anything. She just sacrifices herself.
I
Yeah.
don't recall. That's how insignificant her character is.
It really doesn't make any sense to me. And Thor is fighting Thanos. I don't get that. Like the fact that
He chopped his head off.
I mean, like later on, but like at one point they're fighting against one another, and it's just like, why is this even for a millisecond? Why are they fighting? Like Thor should just like lightning done, like it's over. Like there's nothing else to discuss. And I get that it's a movie.
He's
I
like
get
trapped. He's like, I can't move.
Yeah, exactly.
Loki.
Exactly. These are two gods. We're talking about two gods now. We're not talking about one. We're talking about two. So like that level of inconsistency in like their power levels is just in one scene they're like super powerful, and then in another scene they're just like, oh, suddenly I'm not a god anymore. It's like, what? You can't do that. And that's the problem. That's the problem that I have with Marvel. It just pisses me off. Every time I see it, I'm just like, okay, Thor, just step in here, just do your thing.
Easy.
Done.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. Oh,
That's why they don't have Superman in this one a lot, is because it would just be over in like a second.
At least they were thinking about it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's really ridiculous. It bothers me so much every time I watch that stuff. Or the Hulk. The Hulk is supposed to the idea from what I remember from the comic books, if the Hulk is like can't do something, he just gets angrier and angrier, and he gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like infinite. He just continues to get bigger and stronger as he gets angrier. And there are just scenes where he's just like, yeah, he's a total badass in certain scenes, and in other scenes he just gets defeated and then he's just like, okay, I'll go home then. Like that's not how the Hulk works.
Especially the last one when they're like, well, I found the secret like formula that made me like Eric and the Hulk at the same time. So like I'm really chill. I'm like a chill version of the Hulk. Like that's not the Hulk though.
Exactly. What
are you doing?
And
the
everybody complained about that. Everyone complained
Yeah.
about that. He didn't even fight, as far as I know, in the I think maybe at the very end, but I can't even remember a scene. And I just watched it. He just doesn't fight anymore. It's just like, okay, great.
He's just like, I'm just going to be a scientist as the Hulk.
That's
Hulk's
exactly
body,
it.
which is like the most inefficient scientist of all time, because you can't do anything with the materials you have anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah, God. Yeah. I can't do it. Can't do it.
Well, what movie are you looking forward to the most?
Avengers 5. I'm actually looking forward to Godzilla versus King Kong, and I can promise you, once I see that, I will have the same rant as I'm having right now
Nice.
about that. I don't know if you've seen the trailers. I am looking forward to that, although I fully realize that it's going to be insanely unrealistic. Even in the trailer, you see King Kong like like sliding down Godzilla's fire, like coming out of his mouth, and he's just like,
What?
yeah, it makes no sense. I already saw that, and I was just like, this is going to be, I every time it's in. And even looking at the size differences between King Kong and Godzilla is just asinine. But regardless, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Mortal Kombat movie. I don't know if you've seen that might be coming out soon. And then The Matrix. Yes, Matrix 4, which comes out at the end of this year.
Wow.
What about you? Are you watching anything? Anything you're looking forward to?
Not really. I mean, I just nothing has gotten me super excited as far as movies go.
The French Dispatch. That's another one I'm really looking forward to. That's I'm sure you've seen, it's like with Bill Murray and
Yes,
a bunch of
that's
other
Wes
actors.
Anderson.
Yeah, Wes Anderson.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to
Because
that
he
as
doesn't
well.
make a bad movie.
No, and it's got a particular flair, style to it that I really like. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very original director.
Mm.
He's one of the best.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'd put him in the same league as Quentin Tarantino.
Would you? Well, I could see that. I put
just different styles.
Yeah,
but still very prolific and just quality.
I agree. Yeah,
great actors.
I put Paul Thomas Anderson in there as well. He's way up there for me too.
What about Christopher Nolan?
No, I think he's got a bit of a Hollywood style to him. Sometimes some of his movies feel like more of a pop culture hit. Although I like a lot of his movies. Didn't you recently see what's that one really confusing movie?
Big Lebowski?
No. No, it's by Christopher Nolan.
Inception.
No, it's not Inception.
Interstellar.
It's not Interstellar.
I
remember you said you walked
Dunkirk.
No, that's a great movie too.
Batman,
you walked into the
Dark
movie.
Knight.
Nope.
I could continue as Christopher Nolan.
Okay, continue,
and
please.
Dismantle your argument.
Continue. It's not even an argument. I'm just trying to remember something. Meanwhile, you're over there.
Cape something.
No.
With Leonardo.
No.
No, that was Scorsese.
Scorsese. There's this movie that you were telling me about that you walked in the theater and you watched it and you were so confused the entire time and people thought it was like brilliant or something like that, and it's by Christopher Nolan.
Tenet.
Tenet. Yes, there it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, I mean, watch at your own risk, basically. Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to say good or bad about that movie, really.
Yeah.
It just became something of it's just him trying to be like, I just felt like he was trying way too hard to come up with a movie like Inception, or like to be like, see, now you get Inception.
Yeah.
Because now you understand Tenet. I don't know. It was weird. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
It was a fail.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet. I actually have been avoiding it specifically because you told me that you were confused.
It's a lot of, it just reminded me of like a James Bond movie.
Well,
way more confusing.
Now I'm Pete. My interest is Pete. Oh, the new James Bond movie's coming out too. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that. I love James Bond movies.
Yep. They're great. What about Stanley Kubrick? Would you put him in the same league as Quentin Tarantino?
I think he's way up there.
Martin Scorsese as well? Yeah.
Yep. There are like those like elite directors that are way up there. I can't think of any other ones.
It's just those guys, really. Scorsese, Kubrick, Tarantino, Wes Anderson. What did Paul Thomas Anderson do?
He did
Rugrats the film, SpongeBob 2, Patrick's Return.
Patrick's. He made The Phantom Thread, The Master, There Will Be
Phantom
Blood.
of the Opera?
The Phantom Thread.
Oh.
There Will Be Blood, The Master, and
I've not seen The Master. That's with Joaquin Phoenix, right?
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. All of his films, from what I've been able to identify, at least with like 3 of them, have a underlying theme of like, it's like a philosophical discussion, but it's never actually overtly discussed, but the theme is about something in society, or something like There Will Be Blood, right? Was very much about religion versus atheism, right? And The Master, I actually watched it with my dad the first time. And when we walked out, like, we started talking about it, because we usually end up discussing movies and, you know, what we liked and what we didn't like, and like the philosophical implications and stuff. And he didn't even notice it, actually. But like I pointed out that it's a discussion of what it's like to be an animal and trying to integrate an animal into society, or have like certain expectations of an animal. And that's what I think The Master is about. And you see a lot of those like continuing themes throughout the entire movie, but it's really good.
I definitely need to watch it. The Prestige came to mind. I thought that was him as well, but it turns out to be Christopher Nolan again. Yet again.
Damn it, Christopher.
Have you seen The Prestige?
Nope.
Holy hell. You got to watch that.
Okay.
I think it's on Netflix or Amazon or one of those.
One of them.
I'm pretty sure Netflix. But Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, Michael Caine, Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow. It's a great, and David Bowie's in it as Tesla, as Nikola Tesla. Yeah. And then Smeagol, the guy that plays Smeagol, is his assistant. He's in it too.
Okay. Well, I'll
it's
check
really
it out.
good. The Prestige is really, really good.
Recommendation. All right. I'll check it out. I'll let you know my thoughts.
All right. I'll check out The Master.
Very well. Well, Mr. Hatley, you want to finish things off here?
Yep, I will take us out by looking at this week. And this week in the markets. Bring up my slide here. Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs.
0.2% profits in Q4 last year.
And the predictions look...
There's been a lot more focus on the infrastructure. Reorganization of the whole program. There's a new vice president of sales in the Mid-Atlantic. I was hired. Investors, don't worry.
Hold.
Yes, hold on Goldman. Hold.
And that was it, folks.
On
You
GameStop, buy.
we got our weekly update on the most random shit possible from Kyle Hatley.
Yeah.
All right. Well, till next week then, folks. Thanks for chiming in, or thanks for tuning in, I suppose I should say.
Yep. We'll catch you later.
See ya.